Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United may sell Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata, Phil Jones and Diego Dalot to raise an extra £60 million. Our transfer budget has been revealed. We've got £80 million to spend in the summer. But obviously that isn't enough for obviously the players we want to get in. Now Jesse Lingard, he's out on loan at the moment with West Ham. Since he's gone out on loan with West Ham, I think he's made a fantastic impact. You know, we had Jesse Lingard for several years. He had some good periods with us, but there was also a bad period he endured when he didn't score one goal or he didn't get one assist in the Premier League for over a year. I think there's a good chance West Ham will get him permanently. Juan Mata, I said there's a good chance that we'll offload him in the summer because Juan Mata doesn't even get in our team now. Juan Mata's current contract expires in the summer. There's an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he wasn't surprised that Juan Mata was linked to a move away from the club. I heard that 3 Italian clubs were in for him. Earlier on this season, Juan Mata rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. But he's had a good career at Man United. He's been at the club over 6 years. He's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored 50 goals. We got Juan Mata in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Phil Jones, he's been a long servant at Manchester United. This is his 10th season at the football club. He doesn't get in our team. He's the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Jones has been out of injury for over a year. And Diego Dalot, he's out on loan with AC Milan. You know, AC Milan could get him permanently. We actually got Diego Dalot from Porto. Didn't we pay around £19 million for him? So yeah, so if we was to raise £60 million, our transfer budget would be £140 million. And I think we could sell more than 4 players in the summer. There's a good chance that Cavani's going to leave Man United. Solskjaer did reveal that Cavani is closer to joining Boca Juniors than staying at Man United, but he said prior to that, Cavani's future has not yet been decided. Edison Cavani's father recently said that Edison Cavani is unhappy at the club and he's not comfortable in England and he wants to leave Man United. Reports said from Argentina that Cavani has decided to leave Man United after just a season. He has rejected the contract extension and he said he wants to go to Boca Juniors on a 3-year contract. He's willing to take a pay cut. Now earlier on this season it said Cavani wanted to stay at Man United for next season and Solskjaer said he was set for contract extension talks. Cavani hasn't played recently because he's been out with injury, but I think he's made a fantastic impact since he's come in. He's scored goals, his hold-up play has been good, his movement in and out of the box has been good, and he can create chances. We got him on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a 2nd year. Nemanja Matic, we could possibly sell him in the summer, because Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances and he can have some good games. But I think in the vast majority of his games at Man United he's been inconsistent, and I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player, and plus he's ageing up now. Matic has been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea. Anthony Martial, you know, we could sell him in the summer. There's a lot of Man United fans that are saying we should sell Anthony Martial in the summer, because he's been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's had chances, but he hasn't converted them. But Solskjaer said earlier on this season he's backed Martial to rediscover his form, and he said he's been impressed with his work rate. You know, Martial was good last season and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. He's been at the club over 5 years. I think it was last season Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt. Recent narrative said that Erling Haaland and Harry Kane are our 2 top targets if we decide to offload Martial in the summer. Paul Pogba, he could still leave Man United in the summer. He has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and Juventus have been in for him, his former club. Now, earlier on this season, we revealed our asking price, and it was £100 million. I'm very sceptical we'll get £100 million if we sell Pogba in the summer. I reckon we'd get from between £60 to £70 million. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that Pogba's open to staying at Man United after making a transfer U-turn, and he's willing to discuss a new contract. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer suggested Pogba could sign a new contract, and Solskjaer said that Paul Pogba is happy at Man United. Paul Pogba's under contract on Man United until June 2022, because earlier on this season we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract. Mino Raiola, as you all know, is desperate to get his client out of the football club. You know, Mino Raiola doesn't have a good relationship with Man United, and he's been criticised a lot. Earlier on this season, he said that he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United, and he did make an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence, and he made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement. Pogba's out with a thigh injury at the moment. The last game he played was the 3-3 draw with Everton. Pogba's been a big miss because we lack creativity in that midfield without him, and we are far too defensive. We've been given a Paul Pogba boost because Solskjaer's come out and said 5 injured players could return for the game against AC Milan in the second leg of the Europa League last 16. Earlier on this season, Pogba had an ankle injury, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with that ankle injury. He is our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. David De Gea, we could sell him in the summer transfer window so we can make Dean Henderson our first choice goalkeeper. Recent narratives said that we are willing to listen to offers for De Gea. I think if we sell De Gea in the summer, we can get from between 50 to 60 million pounds. The Sun said the other week that PSG wanted David De Gea. And Pochettino is looking for a number one to replace Keylor Navas. Now, De Gea has 2 years left on his current contract. He's on £375,000 a week. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer warned De Gea that his number one jersey is under threat. De Gea is obviously back in Manchester. He's been self-isolating. And I think he's probably going to be in goal for the game against AC Milan. He hasn't played in recent games because he was out due to personal reasons. This is De Gea's 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant. I reckon he's had about 7.5, 8 good years at the club, because in the last couple of years he's been a liability, reflecting on the calamitous mistakes he's made. I think there's a good chance De Gea will go back to Spain. Main explanations is because he was born in Spain, his relatives are from Spain, his girlfriend's from Spain, and he began his footballing career in Spain. And back in 2015, De Gea was close to joining Real Madrid, but due to a fax machine, the deal never materialised. But I certainly think we should put Dean Henderson as our number one. Victor Lindelof, do you think we should sell him in the summer? Now, this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career, because we need signings. I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer. The 2 priorities is a new centre-half and a new forward, but I actually think Solskjaer's looking to strengthen up in 4 positions. By the way, Solskjaer's set to have his final say on our transfer incoming deals. I think we're set for our transfer summit this week. Solskjaer will sit down with John Murtough and Darren Fletcher to discuss our transfer targets and our summer transfer plans in general. I think Solskjaer's going to get the backing he deserves in the summer, because obviously we've got a new director of footballing in John Murtough, and John Murtough knows the club inside out because he's been at Man United now for around 8 years. By the way, he's our first ever director of football, but I'm glad we got one in, because I said it's one of the structural changes that we need at the club, and I said it would be beneficial to recommend someone who knows the club well, and John Murtough does, like I've just mentioned. And Darren Fletcher is the technical director, and Darren Fletcher knows the club through thick and thin because he was a player at Man United for like 2 decades. Ed Woodward, don't forget, did a statement, and he says the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So in that aspect, you know, Woodward is backing Solskjaer. Woodward did say, didn't he, towards the end of last year, that he was going to be backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows, and he's come out several times to show his support for Ole. And even during them bad periods, you know, Woodward assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. Our board have got a soft stance on Ole, with him being a club legend. The summer transfer window will be Solskjaer's 5th transfer window as permanent Man United manager. So far, he has endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager, and he's spent almost £300 million. Yeah, he's made good signings, but as yet, he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. But there has been a lot of players on our agenda. Now, you know the news on Pau Torres from Villarreal. According to ESPN, Pau Torres has emerged as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's top target, and we can get him for less than his £56 million release clause if Villarreal fail to qualify for Europe. We have been in contact with Villarreal over Pau Torres. I don't really know much about him, to be honest with you. I just know he's been at Villarreal around 19 years. He was in their youth setup for a long time. He's got a contract with Villarreal until 2024. Do you think he'd go well alongside Maguire in our back line? Jules Koundé, he's another player on our agenda. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that we was unwilling to meet Jules Koundé's £68 million release clause. But it says we was prepared to pay around £61 million. La Razia on the Spanish outlet said earlier on this season that we were considered the favourites to sign Jules Koundé. Diego Carlos, Jules Koundé's teammate, has been talking about Jules Koundé, saying he's ready to play for a big club. He spoke highly on Jules Koundé. But his performances this season for Sevilla have been outstanding. He's got a contract with Sevilla till 2024. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. I think he'd go well alongside Maguire in our back line. There's been a lot of narratives coming out regarding Raphael Varane, saying that Real Madrid are prepared to sell Raphael Varane on one condition. He must inform Real Madrid on his decision to leave. And the AS said that he's decided that he wants to come to the Premier League in the summer. Then the Express said he could be set to stay at Real Madrid. Back in 2018, Woodward was prepared to sanction a £100 million move for Varane. And talks over extending his contract have not settled. Raphael Varane is a world-class centre-half, and he's highly experienced. He's 27 years of age. He's never played in the Premier League, but if he came to the Premier League, I can assure he would exceed expectations. Raphael Varane has been at Real Madrid for 10 years. He's made over 300 appearances and he's won 18 major honours. Erling Haaland, he remains our top centre-forward priority. Borussia Dortmund have given us an update on Erling Haaland's future. Michael Zorg, Borussia Dortmund's sporting director, says that Dortmund are focusing on finishing in the top 4 in the Bundesliga in order to keep Erling Haaland. There's quite a lot of Man United fans that are very, very sceptical that we'll get Haaland. I heard that he's demanding £350,000 a week wages. I think Dortmund are demanding around £100 million for him. But I'd love to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get Haaland because Solskjaer knows the player well. Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. And back in December 2019... Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer did say he's keeping in touch with Haaland and he's following Erling Haaland's progress. The Daily Mail recently said that City were leading the race for him. Chelsea have been in for him. Bayern Munich have been in for him. They've refused to rule out a move. So many clubs. But since his arrival at Dortmund, he's been exceptional. He's been at Dortmund over the year. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him, and he's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. He'd be a very good replacement for Anthony Martial. Now, as you all know, regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he has agreed to sign a new contract worth £9 million a year. So we've increased his wages. Sources at Old Trafford have said that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal, because later this month Solskjaer will enter the final year of his 3-year contract. I think Solskjaer does deserve a new contract, reflecting on the progress he's made. He said earlier on this season that Solskjaer's future was in doubt because he admitted that nobody had spoke to him regarding a new contract. I think Solskjaer is our best manager since 2013. Because we've had very, very good periods under Ole where we have seen consistency. During some of them good periods, he's got the best out of the team and he's improved certain players. And we are sitting second in the Premier League. And no one expected us to be in that position with how poor we was at the first part of this season. You know, Solskjaer's not going to replicate what Ferguson did. No manager at Man United is gonna, and no manager in general will do what Ferguson did. Alex Ferguson brought success to Man United. He won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles, and he enjoyed a 27-year tenure at Man United, so he was a long-serving manager. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. In the last 8 years, we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been. But I think we've made mistakes, and that's one of the main explanations why we haven't been that good. You know, 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson, and that was David Moyes. We sacked him after 10 months. He's the worst manager we've ever had. We finished 7th under the Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. So Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. And, you know, we haven't only had different managers with different philosophies, you know. We've overpaid for players in recent years. We've spent over £1 billion on players since Ferguson retired. I think we've brought around 37 players in since Ferguson retired. You know, I don't see us winning another title for at least another 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. You know, we haven't won the Premier League since 2013. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he must win a trophy this year at Manchester United. The FA Cup is a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. You know, Solskjaer's not yet won a trophy as Man United manager, and he's been Man United manager over 2 years. And we haven't won a trophy since 2017. Solskjaer, reflecting how long he's been at the club, he's gained some managerial experience and he has learnt quite a bit on the job. But my 2 big concerns about him is his decision making, because in a lot of his games at Man United he's been tactically naive. And my other concern about him, he hasn't got that proven pedigree as a manager. This is Ole's 2nd full season at the club. I think he does deserve at least another season at Manchester United. But we have got to credit him in quite a few aspects. You know, we're second in the league. At one point, he got us top of the Premier League, did Solskjaer. And at one point was in the title race, but there was a period where we dropped too many points. So that's why we're no longer in the title race. I kind of sure now we're going to finish in the top 4. You know, he's got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals within the Europa League last 16. We've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. We're unbeaten in our last 22 Premier League away games. You know, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. Did well last season in his first full season. You know, made some good signings. Got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he came in. So there's definitely positives to take. But like I've said so many times, Solskjaer is not the long-term manager for Manchester United. But, you know, when we have been inconsistent, you know, not all of the blame stemmed from him anyway. It's never all the manager's fault. We recently had a good win against West Ham, beating them 1-0. That's back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Man United. And that guarantees us top 4, I'd say. And we've beaten West Ham 3 times this season. The goal was an own goal from Craig Dawson. Wasn't the best of games. But, you know, we still got the win. You know, Solskjaer's come out and said we do need to be more clinical in front of goal. But he said it could have been 2 or 3 comfortably in that game against West Ham. We could have had more than 1 goal because Mason Greenwood had 2 good chances, hit the woodwork twice. Rashford had a great chance, couldn't get his head to it, but it was a lovely delivery by Mason Greenwood. Greenwood had a very good game against West Ham. Rashford played quite well. Harry Maguire did very, very well at the back, so too did Lindelof. The nullified Antonio, kept him quiet. Shaw was immense again. I thought Bruno Fernandes was quite poor, like I mentioned on the match reaction. He got dispossessed quite a few times and gave the ball away carelessly. But all that matters is we got the win. It was a better performance by Man United in the game against West Ham than it was against AC Milan. But, you know, we have got injuries. And I think the vast majority of our injured players are going to be back for Milan. You know, against West Ham, there was no Pogba, there was no Martial, there was no Cavani, there was no Donny van der Beek. You know, Rashford was playing. He's just come back, though, from an ankle injury. So when we get these players back, hopefully the performances will improve and we will be more clinical in front of goal. So yeah, so anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.